piece of baby tech that I've used daily since my son was born is a travel monitor and camera for the car. I'm firmly in the anti mirror camp as they're difficult to utilize and ultimately distracting for the parent driver attempting just a quick glance at their child in the rear seat. A camera monitoring system is the way to go. And when I was deciding between the wide assortment of options out there, I was truly lost trying to choose a reliable product. As a tech enthusiast, though, I trusted my instincts and went with the Tiny Traveler Kit. It's a fully wireless setup that completely eliminates cables to the camera and the monitor if you so choose. That fact itself makes this an enticing opportunity, as wires are cumbersome and require immense setup and risk when dealing with a child in a vehicle. This one premium feature comes at a high cost, as the Tiny Traveler is a lofty investment up front, though. After using the setup daily for more than a year, I can earnestly say that there are baby monitors at half the cost that actually provide the same, if not better, video quality as the Tiny Traveler. They just have cables attached to them everywhere. Let me then explain why I still think the Tiny Traveler was the best choice I could have made for monitoring my son in my car. I'm Alex from the Sypnotix, and this is my full review of the Tiny Traveler. The main selling point of the Tiny Traveler is portability, and that's the aspect of the system that it is sold upon. It's a car camera first and foremost, but it can be so much more than that. The main two components to the setup revolve around a small 720p camera and a 5-inch touchscreen LCD display. Once again, there aren't any cables connecting the camera with the monitor, nor is there one to a power source required. They both have their own individual batteries built in. Their connection to one another is purely wireless through their own Wi-Fi channel. You don't need internet connectivity or Bluetooth, as it's completely offline. It does a pretty good job in the latency department, as what I see is just slightly delayed from what's actually happening in real life. I'd say less than a second or so, well, maybe a second, and not hindering that user experience that's really important, but it's still noticeable nonetheless. Back to that portability thing, because this setup is fully untethered, you can take both the monitor and the camera and place them anywhere and use them at any time as long as they both have a charge left in them. The camera is shaped in a horizontal oval form with a square latch mechanism on the backside. This mounting format is how all of the Tiny Traveler items connect and disconnect from their mounting stations. In this case, the camera slides into the headrest mount that goes over the headrest of the car seat that the baby seat is on. The kit also includes a spring-loaded clamp that can mount the camera on a headrest extension rail or something else that can provide the stability for the clamp to lock into. My setup does bounce a bit more than I like it to while driving, but hey, it's mostly due to the shape of the headrest in my car, not allowing that elastic material to really take the correct form around it. So I blame the car more than the setup that I have for this camera. Still, it does the job and it does keep the camera in the right location nearly all of the time. The video quality is the bare minimum requirement of what we call high definition. At 720p, this is likely the main detractor for most parents when they're doing research on this category of baby products. I would say it's acceptable, but by modern standards, it's clearly working with outdated sensors. There are plenty of baby monitor systems that utilize a 1080p sensor at a fraction of the cost it would cost to buy this. But when you filter the wireless aspect into it, that list does dwindle. The camera is sharp enough to see details for a 5-inch display in normal daylight, but it does lose some of its clarity during the automatic night vision transition. When the sensors recognize lower exposure points, it automatically switches to night vision, which images grayscale. Like most security cameras, this IR technology isn't the strong point in their technological showcase here, and it's more of like a compliance than anything else, I would say. However, I can distinguish my child's eye line and immediately recognize objects on the display, so I won't complain too much about it. The HD touchscreen monitor is also a good, reliable piece that complements the Tiny Traveler agenda. It has a built in kickstand that can prop the display up onto a table. The kickstand folds into the body, and like the camera, it uses the square mount to hold it into an arm. The Tiny Traveler provides a window suction mount that can be warped into whatever angle you need it to reach. It's like one of those like cell phone window mounts people use. This is where my monitor does sit on my dashboard 99% of the time. While you do have the flexibility to not plug the monitor in, I do have it connected to my 12-volt DC socket, or formerly the cigarette lighter socket, via the micro USB port on the monitor. Through this route, when the car is powered on, the display connected through this socket will automatically turn on as well. It will also automatically shut off if it doesn't sense that the camera is turned on. But showing its age, both the monitor and the camera itself charge using a micro USB port. Fortunately for the camera, though, the kit includes a power bank that the camera snaps inside of that does have a modern USB-C port on it, so that's great. We'll get back to this in a little bit. The touchscreen monitor is where most of the interactions with the Tiny Traveler system actually happens. There's a micro SD card slot to store pictures and footage recorded by the Tiny Traveler. It's interesting, though, that the storage of the files isn't located on the camera itself. Instead, it's operating as a screen recording of the images that the monitor pushes from that camera. Through the touchscreen interface, drivers can quickly press the on-screen shutter button to record or stop recording a video, to transition to photo mode, or to swap the camera views. If you have more than one Tiny Traveler camera, a single monitor can broadcast the live views of the two units side by side. I can attest to this convenient feature as I only have one camera unit on me, but I'm sure it's an attractive function for parents with bigger families to view two kids on one screen side by side. That kind of goes with the theme of the user experience of the Tiny Traveler, which is convenience and portability. Speaking of which, the battery longevity of a single camera can be extended using the power bank, or what Tiny Traveler calls the battery cradle. I've only ever used the camera plugged into the cradle at all times during my son and my commute during the week. This cradle does add extra weight to the otherwise really light camera, so it does make the elastic mount start to sag a little bit. This is easily accommodatable, though, by merely adjusting the tilt of the mount. I can tell you from real life experience that I average a charge every about week and a half to 2 weeks. I spend a little less than 2 hours on the road each day, so I'm pretty happy with the overall battery life of the camera combined with this cradle. The power bank has one button that turns the camera on with a single press. 2 presses on the button will turn off the camera. When the camera is on, blue LEDs on the frame will showcase the current battery life with the scale using 4 dots. Unlike the monitor, which does have the ability to automatically turn on, you will always have to manually power on this camera. It's a slight inconvenience, as I've had to get out of the driver's seat and turn on the camera after placing my son in his seat and forgetting to turn it on in the first time while in a rush. I've also forgotten to manually turn off the camera a few times when quickly unloading him too. This drains the battery life, as it's just running without a need when none of us are in the car anymore. For the most part, manually turning on and off the camera isn't really that big of a deal in this setup, as parents will always be at the location where the camera is located when the car begins its journey and when it ends its journey, as we do have to load our kids in and out of the car anyway. It will also remind you to check the back seat when it stops. I'm actually quite happy with the Tiny Traveler after more than a year using it on a daily basis. I very much appreciate the versatility it provides me as a parent constantly moving around with a young child. It's not just a car monitor, it's my baby monitor outside of the house too. Is that enough to justify nearly twice the cost of other products that point at a camera at a kid too? Well, I could argue that I otherwise would have needed to invest in, say, a car monitor and then a second home monitoring system to give to my in-laws or to take with me when we stay at a hotel. Those are not use cases that happen on a daily basis, but the Tiny Traveler does cover those bases without a second thought for us. It also does it in such a simple and neat package that any parent, regardless of knowledge of how cameras and touchscreens work, can get it up and running without hesitation. So, to my family, I do believe this kit provides appropriate value for the amount of benefits it provides us. Once again, I'm Alex from the Sypnotix. Let me know what your car solution is with your child. Is a wireless one something that you would even consider when looking at this category? I would love to hear your comments in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.